Hi everyone, welcome back to iClo. It's Fabiana here, and today I have a little bit of a different video. Every week I usually try a pattern from iClo that I haven't tried before, and I sew it, I show you how to make the pattern, so it's a really fun sew along type of video slash tutorial for the pattern, and it's really cool because it helps as inspiration as well to make your own wardrobe. But today I want to share with you one feature from iClo that I haven't actually shown yet, and it's the Blouse Configurator. But before we get into that, if you're completely new to iClo, in iClo you can actually generate professional sewing patterns in just a few seconds using a digital avatar. So how it works is that you can create digital avatars for yourself or maybe someone else, which means this avatar will have your own measurements, and you can choose any pattern from iClo, which by the way there are tons, and generate that pattern for your digital avatar, which means this pattern will fit you perfectly. It's amazing because you can actually visualize how the pattern will look on you before actually sewing it or even printing the pattern. And this process just takes a few seconds or minutes depending on how much you'd like to modify the pattern, because you can also modify the pattern if you'd like. It doesn't have to be exactly as shown in the platform. And once you start, you can't stop. You realize there's tons of options. There's endless options actually, and you can create a whole new wardrobe or even fashion collection with the help of iClo. Okay, so back to the Blouse Configurator. I honestly don't know why I hadn't tried it out before, but with this feature, you can select the base, the color, and the sleeves. So not necessarily choosing a default pattern from iClo already. So let me just show you how it works. Come to iClo.com. This is the first thing you'll see once you enter the website. And you can scroll down and look around, and you'll begin to see how iClo works and get an idea on how this platform works. I always like to start here and straight to design tools, because that takes me to the pattern library, which means I can select any pattern I want, so I can modify it for my size and my digital avatar. But I wanted to show you what it looks when you have an account on iClo. So here I have mine logged in already, and I'm going to show you all of the projects I've worked on already. And I have them saved here. I have a ton, and that's just for you to see that you can create multiple patterns for different sizes, which means different avatars. In case you're new here, in iClo you can create a digital avatar with your body measurements. So whatever pattern you select to use for your avatar will basically look how it would look on you, because it's your body wearing it. But you don't necessarily have to create it just for you. You can create different avatars for different people. So in case if you have a clothing brand and you sell custom pieces, you can create an avatar for each of your clients. Or if you sell clothes with a standard clothing size, you can also create avatars for that, or even select standard sizes here. And here you can see a little better how the avatars would look on each size. And there's actually a new feature where you can extract your measurements from a full body photo. I tried this already in another video, and it ended up being with my exact size, which is just amazing and so exciting that you can actually do that. But if you already have your measurements written down and you just want to use those, you can just add these 4 measurements here and it'll create your avatar. So for example, I have mine created already, but let's say I'm creating it again. I just put my name and my measurements. And it'll immediately load over here on the right, and you'll be able to see the avatar, and you'll notice that it's practically the same as your body. But I'm not going to save it or create it because I have mine already, but I just wanted to show you how to do it. Okay, so going back to the initial page, we're going to start with our project today. And as I said, I'm going to show you how to make a blouse. So I'm going to straight to design tools. So I'm going to stay here on blouses, and I'm going to go into this option of configure yourself. And in here, you can create the blouse using the details that you prefer. And if you've watched any of our videos already, you can also go into the rest of the pattern library. In case you don't want to configure one yourself, you can just select a default pattern. But I do want to say that by selecting a default pattern, it doesn't mean that you have to keep it exactly as it is. You can also modify the avatar and how it fits on the body. So it's completely up to you and whatever you want to make this day. I'm going to click here, and you'll see that we can select a base, a color, and the sleeves. You have to be careful because there's knitted blouses and woven blouses. So depending on the fabric you're using, that's the base you're going to select. Let's say I'm making it in a woven fabric, so I can only select from the ones that say woven. I like this one. It's kind of like a heart shaped. So let's go with that one, and it'll start popping up here in small in the avatar, but once we generate it, you'll see it bigger, and I'll show you how it looks. But now we're going to go to the color. Okay, so right now it's a Peter Pan color, But let's say we don't use any colors and we just use the neckline as it is. I think that looks so much nicer because of the heart neckline. So let's leave it like that and let's go to sleeves. Oh, these are so cute. I think I'm going to go with this one. Yes, and I'll probably shorten them, but I'll show you how to do that as well. You can select any of these. For example, this one has some gatherings on the armhole, which would look like puff sleeves, and that's really, really cute. These are looser on the ends, so it honestly depends the design that you want to choose and generate. As you can see, that took me just a few minutes, and honestly, if you know how to do it already, you can do it in just a few seconds. And here I have my avatar all big, so I can see it a lot closer. I do want to mention that over here, if you go, for example, for fit map, you'll be able to see where it's going to fit tighter or looser. So where it's red, it means that it's more tight there on the body, so it's touching the body a lot more. And when it's blue and dark blue, it means it's not close to the body at all. So as you can see, this is not even touching the arm or the body. This is the strain map. And here in pattern, you can see the pattern pieces that make up this pattern. I forgot to mention that I have my avatar with my measurements already set as my default avatar, so whatever pattern I generate will immediately pop in my avatar. But in case you want to change it, or if you don't have any default avatar saved up, you can do so over here, or also create new ones as I showed you earlier. Depending on the pattern, you'll get some parameters or some options here in which you can modify your pattern. But as I said, I did want to shorten the sleeves, and right now it's on this option, but let's say we go to shorter. Perfect. I think this looks so nice, but you could also go into a long sleeve, which would also work. This design does make this looser and longer edge over here, which also looks really nice. I think it honestly depends on your style and the design you're looking for, but I'm just going to go for a short sleeve. Here on the top, you can go into advanced mode, which is what I mentioned earlier when I said that you can modify the pattern however you'd like. So you can modify the neck, the width of the entire garment, and the armhole, the length. There's multiple options and they'll vary depending on the design you're working on. So for example, let's say I want to change the length of the shirt. Right now it's in 40%. And if you don't know what the parameter or slider is mentioning or talking about, you can click on this little icon over here and you'll see what will be changed depending on what you'll move. So the red outline will be closer to 0. So if I were to lower it, it'll shorten up. And if I were to move it closer to 100, it will become a lot longer. So let's say I want to make it more cropped. I can just move it, for example, 20 or around 20%, and it'll be a cropped shirt. So let's leave it like that. And let's say we want to move around or play around with the neckline. Let's see what we can do. Okay, this is for the back neckline. This is the depth of the back neckline, but we could also modify the front. So let's say I want to modify the front neckline and make it more open or wider. Here on the right, you can change, for example, the stretchability of your fabric. So if you were going to use a knitted fabric, for example, you can select how stretchy the fabric is and the pattern will immediately adapt to that measurement. But you could also see and change the exact measurements of some specific measurements on the pattern right here on the right. So let's turn off advanced mode. I really like how it's looking right now. Let's just say I want to make the shirt in another color. This is obviously not necessary, but it's nice just to see and imagine how the garment would look once I sew it. Or this is also nice because it'll help you select what color you want for your design. Let's say I want a really light pink. So let's move it around. Okay, maybe something like that. And over here, you can also change the fabric. Right now, it's in dress fabric, so let's say we're making it in linen. Perfect. If you click here on seam lines, you'll be able to see the seams around the entire garment. Okay, perfect. I think I'm not going to do anything else, so let's just save my project. Linen blouse. Before I download the pattern, I do want to show you one of my favorite features on iClo, and if you go here, you actually have a textile calculator. So this means that you'll be able to know how much fabric you'll need for each project that you're making. So what you have to do is write the width of the fabric. Usually it's 150 centimeters. So I apply that and it'll let you know how much fabric you'll need for this top. You can also select this option, which it allows it to rotate along lengthwise. And in this case, it's okay, so I'll select that. And usually it'll show you a less fabric option. So for example, for this top, I'll need a little bit more than 1 meter. With each pattern, you also get a tech pack. So I'm going to download mine and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here I opened up the tech pack And over here, you can see what is generated automatically based on the data you made for your pattern. So for example, you'll get measurement details, fabric recommendation, etc., etc. And over here, you'll get a table of contents, so you'll know what page to go to for certain information. You get the pattern layout, so you know how to cut it with your fabric. And you even get a technological sequence of assembling. Obviously, you don't have to follow the exact order or this exact procedure, but this is just a recommendation on how you can sew the garment. Now we're back on the platform and we just have to download the pattern. There are multiple formats in which you can print out the pattern, but I'm going to select PDF because I usually print my patterns at a home printer and I use a US letter paper, and that's the size that I select. And something I also like to change here is that I put 5 millimeters instead of 3 centimeters, so the pattern pieces are closer together. That way I use less paper. And now I can just download my pattern. And here I have it. The first paper will always be this. This test square just helps so that you print this paper first and you'll see if it matches the measurements that it says here. And if it's correct, you'll know that you can print the rest of the pattern. The second paper is a pattern layout of how it'll look once you assemble the entire printed pattern. And from there, you'll just get your entire pattern. And that is it. Basically, what you would do now is print your pattern and assemble it completely so you can cut it on your fabric and sew it. I'm going to zoom in to show you that all of the pattern have all the necessary grain lines, notches, and it also includes the seam allowance, which is 1 centimeter, but you could also modify that. Okay, so that is it. As you can see, it's so simple, so quick, and you can create multiple designs for different people as well, or different sizes. If you guys enjoyed the tutorial, please let me know, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as I can. And in case you want to try out iClo, remember that the first 2 pattern downloads are completely free, so you can try it out, and I promise you, you're going to love it. And if you do, there's other plans you can choose from, so you can get the chance to use as many patterns from iClo as you want.